Hey friends, welcome back. So today I'm going to work on a new series that's called Ask Billy, the series about gear that no one ever wanted. But apparently some of you do. I've noticed on my YouTube journey that I get a lot of emails from you, which I have a public email address. If you'd like to email me, it is simply billy@billylaguardia.com. If you have any questions or you want to talk or you want to mix or do anything like that, just send me an email. But a lot of you have done that. Either through email, Instagram, or the old school way of the comment section below, and have just asked me general questions about equipment, which I think is really funny because my entire life I've sort of been everybody's repository of gear information. So I figured, I started making YouTube videos because I had questions and I didn't know where to find the answer for some obscure topic. I figured, hey, why not? Maybe I'll just answer yours. So if you have a question, you can just email me, billy@billylaguardia.com, and just ask me a question and I'll answer it if I can. So the first one, or I should say the reason why I started this is my friend Jack texted me yesterday and said, hey buddy, question about interfaces. I have a newer M1 Mac and was going to get a UA Apollo twin quad. I'm not even really sure if I need something that fancy. I was also looking at a few of the RME interfaces, but was thinking that they might be overkill. I basically just want to be able to record good sounding guitar tracks for people as well as record my own weird space jazz. Do you have any recommendations? Well, yes, as a matter of fact, I do. Okay, here's the thing about interfaces. A lot of this is snake oil, okay? There are a million interface companies that all promise to have the highest highs and the lowest lows and the best everything. And then you buy your interface and then you go down the preamp train of saying, I have to spend a bunch of money on a preamp now because that's the thing that'll really make my recording sound good. Is any of this hitting home for any of you? Here's basically what it boils down to: form factor and functionality with preamps or with interfaces. My brain is already on preamps. You just want something that will basically handle the needs of the project that you're working on with some future expansion. As far as sound quality goes, they all pretty much sound the same, unless you're starting to get into really, really expensive stuff with more esoteric converters and higher sample rates and all that other kind of stuff. But if you're just starting out and you're just looking for an interface, or you're looking for another interface, hopefully my friend Jack's question can help you. So here's how I started my questioning. You're recording by yourself. You're not recording anything else? Yes. You're just recording guitar? Yes. And some synths? Yes. And you're doing all drums and stuff in the box? Yes. Okay. How are you going to record guitar? Is your project going to be based within the box sounds? You're going to use something like Amplitube, or you're going to use waves, or in any kind of modeling? And I work with this guy pretty often. He has a Kemper rack mount unit. So I said, are you using your Kemper, or are you going to be in the box? He said, well, I did my last project in the box, and I may want to reamp some stuff with Kemper. I said, okay, here's where you're at. You can go down the Apollo train, which is good, which I have, and mix with UAD. It's expensive, and I find the functionality on the interface just being a bit limited in terms of line in and line out. So I recommended that because UAD plugins sound excellent, and if you want to do all of your guitar modeling based on that, that's a good gateway interface. It looks good. It's very solid. It's built for guitar players. It has a headphone jack on the front, has a guitar jack on the front. You can plug right in. And you can have another, it has two combo jacks in the back with mic lines. I own this interface, and I bought this interface with the intention of hosting UAD plugins and also keeping it in my workbox when I do festival gigs and things like that, just in case something on stage breaks down, or I just need a little two-channel interface, or I need to do a mix or a revision or something like that on the road. I thought that it could solve my problems. Well, it can, but it is lacking in a bit of functionality. The other interface that I recommended is the Motu M4. This is an interface that I like a lot and I tend to install. So not only do I keep one of these in my workbox, I also have one in my shop at LM, and it also runs all of our Zoom calls and things like that in our conference room at LM. So I have two of them at LM, and I keep one in my workbox. Let me go over the difference between these two interfaces, and let me tell you why I made these two recommendations. So let's start with the Apollo Twin. This is pretty cool, actually. It's heavy, it's metal. I like that. It has these little multi-function buttons here on the bottom. You have a very big, satisfying knob, and you have your preamp and your monitor controls. So the knob does everything for you. You just have to assign it. So if you want to adjust a preamp level, you adjust that. If you want to adjust your headphone or your monitor level, you do the knob. And these buttons down here are, there's a talk button, so there's a little baby microphone built in here if you want to do talk back. There's a dim button for monitors, which is cool. You can engage a high pass filter, phantom power pad, phase. You can link the two channels together for stereo. It's cool. And you know, and on the back, it's certainly no slouch in terms of functionality. You've got combo jacks for mic line in, which is nice. Dedicated 1/4 inch for your monitor outputs, and you have a separate line out, two separate line outs. This is over Thunderbolt. You have the little infinity barrel AC adapter thing, which I don't, particularly love. And you also have an optical. So, okay, here are the reasons why I like this. One, obviously, you have UAD plugins. And, you have a cool little monitor controller thing. So if you're recording something and you want to have your friend over or something like that, you have talkback mic built in. The routing aspect of this is kind of cool. The console is nice. And the other thing that's a real plus for me is this little ADAT jack right here, this little Toslink jack. If you want to have a digital bank of mic pre's to add on to this, you can get another 8 channels really quickly, because what's the number one thing with recording? It's always gear lust. Once you buy one piece of gear, you're going to buy another piece of gear, and so on and so on and so on. So if you do want to expand your setup, you don't have to buy another interface. You just have to buy a little microphone preamp that has a digital out on it, which is really nice. So if you want to do drums or, any kind of other things, this is functional. Bad thing about this thing, it's like, $1,200. So if you're just wanting to start to get into this, this may be a bit advanced and limiting in some of the functionality. And what I mean by that is, for me, taking this on the road and leaving this in my work box, if I wanted to take a feed from a console that I can't digitally attach to in some way, I just want to set up a matrix of my mix, set up a stereo pair of mics at front of house and record the show that way, I can't do that. I only have 2 channels on this. So having microphone preamps built in would be very cool for my stereo mics at back of house, but it would have been cool if I had just another line, a separate stereo line 1, line 2. That would be cool. Are most people using this piece of gear in this way? Probably not. Are there bigger, different interfaces you can probably buy from UA? I know that they make a 4-channel one of these. I think that might have that on there, but this is this. He just happened to ask me specifically about an interface that I owned. So the other one here is the Motu M4, which was my recommendation for him to start as your first interface, and here's why. On the front here, you have 2 1/4 inch XLR combo jacks, just like the Apollo Twin. You have a dedicated preamp pot here, which is nice. You can engage a 48-volt phantom power right here with a dedicated button, so you don't have to scroll through anything. And you also have these 2 little monitor buttons here to engage monitoring, which is kind of cool. Not just a clever name there. The other thing that this has built in is it has an AB pot in here, which is really nice. One of the reasons why I use this in the conference room at LM is because of this. So you can have a blend between your input, so say, for example, this microphone that I'm speaking into, and the playback, which would be what's happening, either headphone send or, just the playback of the session that you're adding on to, which is nice. It also has a nice big knob for monitors and another dedicated knob for headphones. So it's just a little bit more laid out. So if you need to grab something quickly, you don't have to go into like a sub menu to figure it out, which I think is nice. But the real winner for me on the back here is, one, it's bus powered, which is really nice if you're, strapped for, wall wart ports or ports that can accept a wall wart. You can just power this off of your computer. It does have MIDI in and out, which is cool. And then it gives you a plethora of some I/O back here. So it does give you 3 and 4 line in, so you can take 4 in, 1 and 2 on the front, 3 and 4 on the back. So if you were doing my application of taking a left-right matrix off of a live mix and then just having some microphones set up at front of house to record the show. Cheap box. This will do that for you. You also have the same monitor config as the Apollo, where you have a left and right for your Apollo, but you also have a 3 and 4 line out. You have a separated RCA section over here and that handles monitor and line out. So these are the same thing. You don't get more inputs, at least to my knowledge. It just duplicates this. So if you're living in RCA land, you're cool, or if you're living in quarter-inch land, you're okay with that also. I like that. That's nice. The reason why I recommended the M4, one, price point, very cheap, $370 street price. Pretty solid for interface land. The other thing is I like the line in. This works very well in your recording projects as well. So if you are, say, taking the Kemper, you can take the stereo output of the Kemper and bypass the mic pre's in here if you want. Yeah, I would assume that going into the 1/8-inch jacks here would also, there would be an input sense in there that would say, okay, this is plus 10 versus minus 4, but it is cool to have it in the back. So if you want to leave this hardwired, you can. And then also if you want to do any type of, guitar pedals or anything like that, you have all that stuff in there. So this was my recommendation. I don't know if that helps you on your interface search, but really the purpose of the video is just to kind of talk about just what I look for if I'm looking for an interface. Within the studio here, I technically am running a multitude of interfaces. The console behind me is set up on Motu. It's an AVB network within the studio here. It is running on two 24AOs, which are 24 line level outputs apiece. That power the console, so that's 48 outs, and then I also have a 24AI for 24 in. I also keep a PreSonus Studio Live 24R here, so that if I need to go 48 by 48, I can, because that all hooks up on AVB, but that primarily just handles people's headphone mixes and things like that. So even within my studio, I have the Studio Live, which can be a standalone interface, the Motu 24AI, 24AO network, and then I also run my Apollo on my desk for if I'm doing an in-the-box mix or projects like this that are video-based, and it basically just handles my audio output. So I hope that example helped you. Again, just kind of what I look for in an interface. So if you do have a question and you'd like it publicly answered in this format, shoot me an email, billy@billylaguardia.com. I would be happy to answer it. Be nice, this is just me here. If I can answer it, I'll answer it. If I can't, I can't. But thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.